progress.
Good morning, everyone. Whether you're joining us here in person or tuning in online, welcome to the Geneva Press Club, the Club Suisse de la Presse. On behalf of Isabelle Falconier, our Executive Director, I'm pleased to welcome you and to introduce myself. My name is Tobias Claire, and I have the pleasure of moderating today's press conference. We are here to present a bold and thought-provoking artistic and political action, the Felon Don, created by activist Taran Brar. The Taco Tour and the Felon Don have now arrived in Geneva and will be taking place this Friday at the Place des Nations from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. At a time when press freedom is under attack in the United States, when withdrawals from major UN institutions are becoming a reality, and when trade wars are escalating into what some now call the taco theory, Trump always chickens out, one activist has taken it upon himself to push back. Taran Brar is here with us in Geneva to share his message and to present his fight against human rights violation through his unique and courageous activism. Taran, thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Tobias. I want to thank you and the Geneva Press Club for hosting this wonderful event and for doing so at a time when press freedoms are under attack, as President Donald Trump dismantles the international community in Geneva through budget cuts, layoffs, and taking an axe to multilateralism. It's important today we have a full airing and account of the crimes committed by Donald Trump as the president and leader of the US government, the only superpower on earth. I also want to thank Switzerland, which has shown me what an upgraded democracy can look like. Before, I thought the United States was the ideal democratic structure, and Switzerland has taught me about the value of direct democracy and diluting executive power from one person to seven, and how that promotes freedom, peace, and happiness amongst a population to be governed in such a democratic way. The topic of today's talk is crimes against humanity that I've seen with my own eyes and experienced with my own body by Donald Trump and the government he leads. This is partly a wake-up call to Europe, that what I've gone through shows me that Donald Trump is serious about every threat and word he utters. And when he talks about dismantling NATO, allowing an invasion of European soil by foreign armies, I would encourage everyone in Europe to wake up that these threats are real and he intends on executing on them. Similarly to how he threatens to use the military on protesters and then follows through on it. Okay, this is Felon Don. This is an 8-meter tall Felon Don that I had made, and what it depicts is the Trump chicken, or the chicken Don as I call it, in jail. It's a good visual. It's a follow-up to the chicken Don when he did not have jail bars around him. This is a very dangerous chicken. This is the world's first venomous chicken. And if this chicken is not jailed, he's a threat to you and your life, just like he's been to mine. I debuted Felon Don in Washington, D.C. With a permit from the National Park Service in January 2025 this year. As you can see here, people are very happy to be taking photos with it, playing inside. There was lots of smiles and compliments from liberals, people who don't like Trump, as well as MAGA people wearing Make America Great Hat Again hats and loving the Felon Don when it was displayed. This is in March 2025 when I returned to Washington, D.C. and got new authorizations to place the 8-meter tall, 25-foot tall Felon Don on the National Mall next to Congress. Now, this is a very symbolic photo and historic thing because obviously we know Donald Trump did January 6th, the overthrow of the US government attempt. And he never faced proper accountability for that. So placing the Felon Don at the site of the Congress was a truly special moment. However, as you will see in this slide, Trump supporters got violent with me and the Felon Don in this March of this year. This is a live stream video I'm going to play for you. I apologize, the resolution was choppy, I couldn't control the cell phone towers, and I apologize for having the support this activism button at the bottom that obscures the view. But if you look to the bottom right, you will see a person, it's a woman in a white shirt and shorts, walking towards the Felon Don. You will then hear a loud cut scraping noise as she stabs a 3-foot hole into it. And then you will see it fall and make a loud noise. And then me and my cameraman followed this person and asked her, why did you just commit the crime of property destruction with a knife? And you'll see she yells a lot of racial insults, as if I do not belong in America because I have brown skin and an Indian name. But you know, I grew up in the United States as a citizen devoted to the country, and I'm as American as apple pie. And I've devoted more of myself to the country and sacrificed more in my health and wealth than she has. And so here we go.
Because you came to my land and you want to fight our president and turn our land into your own? And why did you come to mine?
So this is a permitted free speech event, and using
And
a
my free
knife on
speech
it.
was to take it down.
So yeah, that's her and her husband yelled a minute more of racial insults, and it was very dangerous, and the police did not even investigate this person and did not arrest them at the site. This is how the Trump government works. Okay, why did I become an activist against Donald Trump, or an activist at all? Well, growing up in the United States as a citizen and getting a good education, I was promoted to learn about government through prestigious programs like Boys State, where you're sent to your state capital to learn and interact with government and elections. This happened at the age of 16. Throughout my studies at the University of California at Berkeley, I continued to learn about politics and leadership and wanted to dedicate myself to the United States and its success. So after graduating from Berkeley, I tried to join the US Army. This was the level of my patriotism and being a leader. It never mattered to me if I'm Indian or brown or a foreigner with a funny Punjabi name. What mattered to me, I thought, was the content of character, and I was a devoted US citizen, and I still am. Instead, when I went to the recruiter and I got back home, I had 4 armed agents from the Department of Homeland Security in my home asking for an interview. So being a little naive and not trusting them and not having my lawyer, I sat down with these 4 agents who made their guns very clearly shown with their hands near their guns, and for an hour they interviewed me. Why would you want to join the military? And I said, you know, as you guys probably know, I've grown up in Irvine, California. I have a good education. I'm devoted to this country just like anyone else. I, again, naively thought that it was a mistake. I thought this was a mistake that the government had made, maybe some hysteria or fear due to my appearance, and that it would blow over. But I was wrong. So I am protesting Donald Trump out of a love of country, and I am doing all of these creative, peaceful protests with permits. Everything has been done legally by me until this point because I'm an educated citizen of the United States, and that's how my character is and my personality. No civil disobedience, no unpermitted protests. Okay, these photos show the first action I organized in Chicago in April 2017. This was a march for Trump's tax returns. I chose to focus on his tax returns because at the time, it's an American tradition and it was the only bipartisan demand where Democrats and Republicans agreed. We want to see President Trump's tax returns to know if there's a financial conflict of interest. So about 10,000 people came to Chicago on this day that I organized this protest. On the left, you see me speaking to the crowd and the chicken. The middle photo is a Getty image of the huge crowds at Daley Plaza in Chicago. And on the right, you see a funny creative poster, of which there was many, and it says, "Where the cluck are your taxes?" Making a pun on the chicken and the release of his tax returns. Where the F are your taxes? But cluck. So we marched peacefully on April 15, 2017 in Chicago to Trump Tower. Now this clip shows the success and global headlines that my next protest did. And this was placing the 30-foot Chicken Don with a permit on a public park behind the White House that falls in this television camera angle. There's only 1 degree. If you're off by 1 degree, that chicken's not in the camera. Those cameras are about a mile away from that chicken and the White House. So, this is August 9, 2017. So this is how Fox News responded nationally in the United States.
Before we go, behind the White House over your shoulder, we see this shot all the time. What is that?
Chef, it appears to be a very large chicken display.
A what? Seriously?
Well, I'm looking at the same images that you are over my shoulder. That's right. I don't have a whole lot of information other than to tell you that that chicken is not something that is normally present at that location behind the White House.
So this made global headlines. And as they say, caught the zeitgeist, the apex of the culture. It was hilarious and very popular. These days we see Trump always chickens out, taco. That meme is back in the news because putting the Chicken Don there, as you see me with it, a large 30-foot, 9 meter tall, 10 meter tall chicken, reverberated in people's minds in the United States and around the world. It was also carried by Swiss Info and many Swiss news outlets. But nothing prepared me for what came next. Then became a very difficult time in my life where the poisonings begin. And right here you see my face under the effect of a poison for which I was rushed to an emergency room and given treatment. This has happened multiple times after that chicken was inflated, and this is one of the scary photos that has emerged from that. As you see, both my faces and were starting to look like a cauliflower, and extremely dangerous bacteria were causing a full outbreak of something more severe than acne. This is my travel ticket on United Airlines for the date of October 4th, 2017. This is 7 weeks, less than 2 months after Chicken Don was inflated in Washington, D.C., and I was back in my home state of California. I attempted to fly from San Francisco on the 4th of October, 2017, to Vancouver, Canada, because at this point, I had been designated as a terrorist threat, and I was in a lot of danger by staying in the United States. You'll see my name. This is the flight, the date highlighted, October 4, 2017, San Francisco to Canada. However, when I showed up at the airport, I was detained inside, and the government conducted a counterterrorism operation while I was inside San Francisco airport, and I was the target somehow. The clip I'm going to show you is how the news media in San Francisco, 2 news outlets, television stations, covered this counterterrorism operation. And you'll see scenes inside the airport that are violent and scary, and I was inside, and worse things were happening to me.
These drills were so intense, guys, that it lasted about 5 hours. They treated this as a real-life scenario. Let me show you video of the drill. It took place in an area where passengers could not see because they did not want to alarm the passengers of what was happening. They brought out volunteers, search dogs.
The one that wrapped up about 4 hours ago at Terminal 1 here at the airport simulated a terrorist attack involving an active shooter.
I was inside the airport as this footage was taken. That night at San Francisco Airport, I survived an assassination attempt by President Trump. And now I'm going to explain to you how Trump is using governmental powers to commit crimes against humanity, which is a technical legal term, and we're in the important city of Geneva, where this really matters and counts. I had a nerve agent rubbed on my body inside San Francisco Airport that day. As the nerve agent began absorbing into my skin through the clothes, I felt a sharp pain. And I immediately took off my clothes when I realized that when people walked up to me and rubbed stuff on my back and legs, it was actually a poison. So by taking off my clothes, I prevented a fatal dose from entering my body. Today, where the nerve agent went into my back, it feels like 1,000 hot needles have been pressed into my flesh and will remain that way for the rest of my life. Over the next 12 hours, I was put through maybe the worst torture on earth using poisons. In addition, my family members were also poisoned and targeted, which I saw with my own eyes as we were rushed to hospital and requiring intravenous needles into the veins to provide an antidote to the very highly toxic, dangerous poisons that were coursing through our body that Trump put in our food. So crimes against humanity is a technical legal term, and according to the Rome Statute, there are about 13 technical definitions of a crime against humanity. Of those, which I've combed through very carefully, I can confidently say I have seen with my own eyes and experienced with my own body Trump committing the following crimes against humanity. One is torture. I've been through perhaps the most painful torture on earth that's left me with the most painful diseases on the planet. Murder. The effects of the poisons that have been put in my body have reduced my lifespan by many decades, unfortunately, and that of my family too. Some other people did not make it out of the hospital. Extermination, because this was done to multiple people. Crimes of a sexual nature. This includes rape or enforced sterilization. Unfortunately, the antidote to my poison was only given after it reached my testicles, and it has impacted my fertility, and it would be a form of sterilization at a young age of a minority in America. And it's like the eugenics programs of genetic superiority and sterilizing the minorities, which has been a problem in the United States, is ongoing with Trump. Forcible transfer, this is also like a deportation. I myself do not feel safe in the United States. My family's not safe in the United States, so I've come to a beautiful country, peaceful country like Switzerland. This is forcible transfer, to use so much force on a civilian that they have to leave that geographic region. Additionally, I've also witnessed the crime against humanity of ethnic persecution. Ethnic persecution because multiple members of my family were poisoned, and I have a mixed family with European American white members, and no poisons were placed in their food. At the time, me and my Indian family members were poisoned, and they were not rushed to a hospital to get an intravenous antidote. So, now I'm back with Felon Don. I've recovered from some of these horrific injuries, and I've decided to use the time I have left on this earth to bring light to assassination attempts by Trump is making, as well as a wake-up call to Europe, that every threat Trump utters, whether it's using the military on protesters or in Europe dismantling NATO and letting other countries invade European soil, he is going to follow through on. So I'm taking Felon Don around Europe, and here you see it in Paris. It was in Paris on June 14th at Place des Bastilles, Place des Bastilles in Paris last month, and a very historic place. And here you see a woman dressed as the Statue of Liberty taking a photo. In the background, you see the column at the Place des Bastilles with the golden top. This is a fight for international law and human rights, and I couldn't be more pleased to bring it to Geneva, the home of ethics in armed conflict, and human rights. This is Felon Don in Bern. This was at the Bahnhofplatz in Bern earlier this month. And these are some of me and my Swiss friends who support it. And as you see, someone wrote the sign, Trump in jail, so everyone could understand more easily, I guess. And this was picked up in 20 minutes in German and France, all over Switzerland. This was picked up in the very good newspaper Berner Zeitung, and this was also picked up in Der Bund. So it was heavily covered, nationally in Switzerland and at the local level in Bern. This is Felon Don in front of the University of Porto in Portugal. This was done 2 weeks ago. And as you see, a nice crowd built up, people loved it, and there was a lot of joy. And putting it in that front of that university with that fountain was just a very beautiful day. After Porto, this is Felon Don in Lisbon, Portugal. This is at Jardim Mário Soares. And you see a lineup in front of people waiting to take photos with it. This is Felon Don at Zurich's Rathausbrücke, the famous piazza in the middle of the city next to the lake. And I can't wait to show you this drone video that highlights how historic and beautiful Felon Don was in the river next to the lake. And as you see it goes up, you see Fraumünster on the right and the beautiful lake. And on the left, you see Große Münster. And it was just a beautiful day on this Swiss tour. As you can see, that's just a beautiful, beautiful scenic environment. Now, we're back in Geneva, and I'm happy to bring it to Place des Nations on Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I would love for you to be there. And you can see it in person in front of the United Nations, next to the broken chair sculpture. It's going to be absolutely beautiful this Friday, and it couldn't be more symbolic at the home of international human rights and laws of ethics in armed conflict, like the Geneva Conventions, which has saved us from so much bloodshed. And I hope this story allows people to think better, understand what Trump is truly doing, and fight for international law and human rights. On the right, you see the Associated Press carried Felon Don when it was in Paris. And this was syndicated and picked up all over the world. Little towns in Indiana carried this image as well, because Associated Press put its big weight behind it, as it did in 2017. I want to thank you for your attention to this matter. And this is my contact, my name and my contact information, my email, and my telephone number, my US number, and my Swiss number. And there's the website for the chicken if you want to see more media and stay afloat of its movements. You can go to felonchicken.com. You may also scan the QR code right there, and it'll take you straight to the website. And now I'd like to open up to questions.
Thank you, Taran. Thank you very much for your presentation and all the work you have been showing to us now. Maybe before opening up for questions, I have a first one for you. Sure. By launching this Taco Tour Felon Don, the new version 2025, what kind of legal risks or consequences are you facing? Yeah. And have there been already signs of some insecurity around you or something like this?
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you for that question, Tobias. Obviously, in launching the Felon Don Tour this year, there are many risks, legally and extrajudicially, as Trump likes to operate. Considering I went through some of the worst torture last time, which I'll give you a brief overview on right now, besides the nerve agent assassination attempt, the worst torture I've been through was I had my wrist broken first. I was fed a poison that put me into organ failure. That poison then, through the broken wrist, got into my bone marrow. It damaged every one of my organs and ultimately led to the sterilization I was talking about. Now, because it got into the bone marrow through that broken wrist, which is normally protected, I have a blood disorder similar to sickle cell anemia. This average lifespan of someone with this disease is 40 years old. I was given this disease at the age of 31. So I'm hoping I can make it to my 70s. Now doing it again with Felon Don this year is potentially going through something that painful and deadly again. I do not plan on going back to the United States at this time because it is increasingly authoritarian and someone like me knows that best. I am very worried about everyone in America and especially my family, especially since I know Trump and his government have no problem going after the families of activists as if he's Putin or Xi Jinping or something. I think he's more dangerous than Putin.
So let's open up for questions. If you have questions, maybe raise your hand and we'll bring you a microphone to ask some questions now. If it's, yes, please.
Yes, I do. But it's very complicated because we've grown up as a minority family in the United States, and they've seen things that I wasn't aware of. So they always support me, but they want me to do it carefully, and they have an awareness that anytime you do use your free speech in the United States against President Trump, you're in extreme danger. And some of the stuff that, where there's a difference between me and my family is that the other ones who were poisoned and tortured are unwilling to speak about it publicly. They're not willing to speak about it to the press, which is totally understandable, and they're not willing to participate in a court case where I could have brought action against the US, against Donald Trump and the US government for committing essentially a slow motion assassination, where you give the person a disease, they live a painful, shortened life, but then it looks like they've passed away from natural causes.
Maybe to come back to you as an activist, what triggered your decision to become an activist? And what did you do between the two campaigns, between the 2017 campaign and the new campaign 2025?
Yes. My activism was based out of the fact that I am a really loving, loyal, and gung-ho educated person from the United States who wanted to make that country stronger. I believed in it totally. And that we're given a certain system of laws and free speech and democratic rule, and you apply for permits and you can do a legal protest. This was my understanding of the United States and my devotion to it. So this is why I became an activist, and in particular with Trump, with his racism, with his misogyny, and with his connection to foreign governments. There was a real danger for the United States and its superpower status. And I felt like I was going to be the hero who peacefully brought attention to the right issues using the democratic methods of a permitted protest and free speech. Now this was in 2017. After October 4, 2017, when I was detained and survived an assassination attempt in San Francisco airport, I went through a period of running for my life, extreme pain and suffering, the likes of which are hardly known on this earth probably. And so between 2017 and now, I have been able to build myself back together enough to have a voice again, to actually go and protest with Felon Don. It took a lot of courage to get to that point after I've been through what I've been through and seen what happened to me and my family. In the past, in between 2017 and 2025, I was able to release my documentary film. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and this film is called The Marriage of a Scientist. And The Marriage of a Scientist shows the love I had for a couple that was 70 years older than me. And the man was a Nobel Prize-winning scientist who invented the laser beam. And he was my professor. We were connected through Berkeley. And I made this film, The Marriage of a Scientist. It's on iTunes now. And then I got the courage in January 2025 to get back out here with Felon Don.
And after this European tour of Felon Don, what is your next, your upcoming projects, or as an activist, what is your next step in this field?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. After this European tour, I have gotten requests, I have received requests to take Felon Don all over Canada, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary. I have received requests to take it to Japan, Tokyo and Hiroshima, the site of the US nuclear bombing. I've received requests from South Korea. So I plan on following through on those requests. However, there is a new idea I have for some activism, and it's a stinging sort of satire in the sense that I'm not the terrorist here, clearly. I'm the one using free speech and peacefulness and lawfulness in a creative way. That's not terrorism, okay? No, the real terrorist is Donald Trump. So my joke is, I'm not Osama bin Laden, he's Osama bin Trump. And a mixing of the two faces could be my next inflatable, because obviously there are some similarities between Donald Trump and Osama bin Laden. They're both 190 centimeters tall. They both look like they just crawled out of a cave. And both have killed many Americans by inspiring their followers to shoot or bomb democratic officials, synagogues, community centers. So I'm not the terrorist here. Osama bin Trump is the terrorist. And that will be my next public inflatable and artwork and comedy routines that I plan on going forward with. I'm not the terrorist, he's the terrorist.
If you have some more questions, maybe yes.
Yeah, but I don't know how to word them. Thank you. You are very convincing, you are very